Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the quick update over at the situation at the KURSK front. And we are going to cover some of these updates, the latest update I have. And I already did some coverage over on the situation at the KURSK front over on the situation report. And I will do some there will be some overlaps because I try to update people who don't watch the situation report. And the latest information. So let's just cover the latest information first that we know of. So there is so we talk about the Western Front first. The Ukrainian forces previously was mentioned to be fighting in the area of Karanevo. So there was this updates talking about Ukrainian forces attacking down the road towards Karanevo, and they go and come. They went and go back. But it seems like there is also disinformation or misinformation regarding this piece of information. With the latest information coming out from the pro-Russian sources, they say that some of these attacks, if not all of these attacks, may actually be fake. It's a radio game, so according to what they wrote radio game of the armed forces of Ukraine. So what we call this is disinformation, the signal disinformation. So in military, what we do is that the soldiers, the signalers, actually enter into the enemy's radio frequency, and then they pretend to be the units of your enemy, and then they give fake information, and they can be used as counterintelligence. It can be used as disinformation or misinformation to mislead the enemy. And it seems like there is some success in terms of that, in terms of conflicting and or confusing or murking the situation and appreciation for the Russian command. As I mentioned before, in previous updates, the Ukrainian forces are attacking in multiple areas. They send forces all over the place, small groups. Sometimes they use fast vehicles. They move all over the place, and then they don't stay in one place. So as a result, the Russian command have no idea what the hell is happening. They do not know where the Ukrainians are, and this is just one of these games that the military games that the Ukrainians have done. So apparently, some of these reports may not actually be even real, like the attack over on Ogovka or the Kremyanoi. This might actually never had happened before. That is the main situation right now. And the Russian forces have already arrived at Karenovo region. They have reinforced this area. And the mayor of this area, the head of the village, says that there is actually no clash in the village. And however, there is shelling by the Ukrainian forces on the village. So that means that there is actually no fighting in this area. Maybe nearby, maybe, but it's not. So far, as a result, the Russian mapping so far has basically retaken all these lines. The entire area here is now re-established as Russian line based on Russian mapping. But of course, there's a high chance that this might not be entirely real. There might be actually Ukrainian forces, small groups that might be infiltrating in these areas here. But as far as I can tell, there is no geolocations to confirm such things. The furthest that we have is actually over at this area. This is the furthest that Ukrainian forces was geolocated, with a Ukrainian attack in the northern part of Novoivanovka. So this is the furthest that we have seen the Ukrainians have gone over on this western flank of the KURSK offensive. And so what we do have, however, is this news. The Ukrainian forces have captured Snagorsk. According to our previous during the yesterday's reporting, basically on the SITREP a few hours ago, there is all this fighting over at Snagorsk. We first have Ukrainian forces attacking Snagorsk, and then the Russian forces counterattack. But it seems like this counterattack has not been successful, as the Ukrainian seems to have captured Snagorsk. However, this is just a salient around here. The southern part is actually a river, the Reka Snagorsk. So the Russians can only attack largely over from the north. But I don't think the Ukrainians can hold this position so far. This is seemingly where the established front line is, because we are now looking at the front line slowly getting established. As I mentioned in yesterday's report, I'm not sure which one. Is it a SITREP or is it a KURSK offensive one? The early stage of the war is always going to be very confusing. Or maybe it's a frontline changes report. So we are now in the early stage of this offensive where the Russians totally are not prepared for this. They didn't really defend this area. They didn't entrench. They really treats the Ukraine war as a special military operation. They really thought it's just a special military operation, so they don't entrench and fortify their border. The Ukrainian forces broke in, much like how the Wagner private military contractor has done during their rebellion. The only difference is that for the Wagner side, the Russians have a lot of the Russian military did not try to stop the Wagner. And another thing is that there are also seemingly orders to not stop them. So that is the Wagner situation. But in the Ukrainian situation is a bit different because they are clearly enemies, and which is why the fighting start off pretty intensely, where the Russians did try their best to stop it. So in terms of the Wagner, I think they only got tried to be stopped by the some of the air force and whatnot. So anyway, in the south of this position, there is some reports of fire damage. So I'm not sure the fire damage is caused by infantries or armor, but the Russian I just wrote it as a attack coming from this area here. But this is definitely not some major offensive. Maybe they're just some troops that have arrived in this Viktorovka region as they try to reinforce the front line. Particularly, we previously have already seen fighting over at Gordievka. The Ukrainians did try to attack in this area, so there might be already Russian forces defending this area, perhaps even at Uspanovka. So it's just reinforcement coming in, and they are trying to hold a line to prevent Ukrainian breakthroughs. So this is what we are seeing now over this side. And over on this northern side, we might actually see this stabilizing of the front line, where the Russian forces have probably established some kind of a front line around this area here, which borders Nova Ivanovka, Lyubimovka, and what's his name? Zeleny, how to pronounce this? Shiyaks. So and Leonidovo. So this is probably the line right now. This is probably the established front line right now. I may have crashed my arrow app. Wait, I need to break it. Oh no, give me a second. Abort. Oh, I broke it. Damn it. Give me a second. Ignore. Retry. Ignore. Oh, okay. Okay. Can I use it again? Oh, it's back. So I wasn't reading the instruction. Okay, so anyway, so this is likely to be the established line right now. Likely to be the case. So we shall see how this develop. But we have no clear indication that whatever is said, or the Russian alleged the mapping is actually accurate. So we have to wait and see. But this is the western part is still the more positive situation for the Russians. The eastern part is a huge mess. So the Ukrainians have sent their vanguards rushing down the highway on both sides. So these two highways go towards different direction. This one in the north, it goes all the way to Lvov, and in Lvov, this leads you eastward towards the nuclear power plant, the KURSK nuclear power plant. So, and for the other road, it leads all the way down to KURSK itself. KURSK is over here. So of course they could also pincer the nuclear power plant, and a lot of people are speculating that is the objective. They're speculating that the Ukrainians are going to do it. They are going to reach the nuclear power plant, and at least 2% have talked to me, in personal message, private message, talking about the Ukrainians. It would be crazy that the Ukrainians would reach the nuclear power plant, or they think that the furthest the Ukrainians could get to the nuclear power plant. I just told them it's not possible. It's impossible for the Ukrainians to reach there, because I'm by monitoring this offensive, I don't believe they are able to do it. And another thing is that, based on my understanding of the Russian forces, the way how they fight, the way how they react to incursions, yeah, they are not going to reach there. And as we can see, the Russian forces have already started reinforcing this region here. We have already reports coming from the Prussian sources talking about the transfer of forces in the Korenevsky and Suziansky districts. So what are these two districts? These two districts is actually pretty huge area. So this one district, this is the other district that was mentioned. Oh, maybe not that big, maybe slightly smaller. I'm not sure. Something like this. So this is the two district, and the Russian forces is now streaming forces more and more into this area here, and so we are going to see the limitations of the Ukrainians able to advance very, very soon. And in fact, we are already seeing the limitations starting to pop up. They are starting to unable to push further, and one of these reinforcement was hit by the HIMARS in Rylis. So this image came out. Okay, I don't think I mapped it into the exact location. But anyway, there's a convoy of trucks. So most likely they sent in infantry, reinforcement, and it got detected by the Ukrainians, and a HIMARS strike, probably a cluster strike, was launched on them. A few of the truck burned out, and then a lot of injuries. So according to the Russian sources, they say that a 48-year-old local resident was actually arrested by the FSB very quickly, and apparently the first rumors now coming out is that this guy was paid. Like he handed over this photos and videos to the Ukrainians to get some kind of payout, and he got arrested. And I think the charge might be a very long sentence. It might even be a life sentence. I think the charge for so the charge that is going to apply on this man is going to be an espionage charge. So it's quite serious. So for those that are watching and you're Russian, it might be cool. Maybe you might take the photo or videos, of the latest situation in your area. Maybe you live in KURSK, and then you just drop it on Twitter or even in DPA forum. Please don't do that, because don't get yourself in jail. Not that it helps the Ukrainian or not help the Ukrainian. The thing is, don't do stupid things. Maybe this guy never even thought that the consequences is going to be that bad. So anyway, that's the one thing. Some pro-Ukrainian guys was arguing with me, or not arguing, but he argued that this is actually an ambush, that the Ukrainians actually reached Rylis. It's not possible. This is a huge distance. Number two is that they never got past Korenevo, so it can't really reach Rylis. So to ambush someone in Rylis means that Rylis has already been compromised. Such a huge news, it's unlikely to be the case, because Rylis is pretty important. So what else? So okay, then another issue about other than the disinformation through the signal or signal intelligence or signal disinformation operations, the another one is that the Ukrainians has allegedly hacked the highway cameras along the highway leading all the way to the Gulf, which is this highway, this particular one. This particular one is currently allegedly compromised by the Ukrainian side, and they are using the cameras to actually take a look at the Russians' movement along the highway, or probably in the region. So this is reported by Rybat, noted by KURSK News. So KURSK News is also another pro-Russian channel. So this is currently pretty crazy, if you ask me. So we shall see. And for those that are watching this live, this is not a premiere. So just in case you do not know, I will do a Q&A after the recording. So currently I'm doing the reporting, and I'm recording also for Rumble, and maybe I'll republish this on DPA War. So for those that are watching the recorded, yeah, if you want to see the Q&A stuff, jump over to the main channel to look for the live video. So anyway, talking about so after this area, we talk about this northern sector. We can call this a northern sector. So there was an attack reaching all the way to Bolshoi, Sodatskoye. The furthest point over here they were fighting was reported over at Anastasievka. So, but however, the Ukrainian forces didn't seem to be able to stay at these locations. This as far as they managed to go. But it seems like the Russians have already re-established the lines in this area, because the furthest extent is not the Ukraine capture. The furthest extent is just them driving down the highway and try to, and then they got engaged by Russian forces, or they try to attack a certain place where there happen to be Russian forces. So this is the furthest that they have gone. There is no reports of capture of around these areas. So the current mapping currently looks something like this. With this entire area here is a huge gray zone. There's no idea what the hell is happening around here. We do have reports of fighting. One of the latest reports coming from Riva, not one of the latest. It's 1 p.m. So anyway, at Ruskoye Poreshnoye, I probably slaughtered it. So the Ukrainian forces most likely coming from the western part, heading towards this. There's no news regarding Kositsa or Pravda or Ivashkovsky. The reason is because the Ukrainians, like I mentioned, in these most frontier regions, these are all vanguards. These are all small groups of forces, so they don't hold grounds. So they got engaged, and then the fighting is then reported. And of course, there's most likely way more fighting that's not reported. So we are only having a glimpse, a slice of the reality, the reporting. So don't take it with a pinch of salt. And what we do have is the Ryba's mapping have acknowledged that the Russian forces have lost Malaya Lognia to the Ukrainians, as well as Viktorovka around this area here. The Russians previously was reportedly attacking Malaya Lognia, and they have not recaptured these places yet. Which means the Russians are already in this area. They're probably around this area. Is it a huge force? I don't think so. This is probably the fast reaction forces. And according to mainstream Russian news, there's one of this channel, I think it's Ivestia, has a reporter over at one of the railway bridges, capturing the image of trains sending in armored vehicles to the Kursk region. And of course it can be geolocated, and it was promptly criticized by Ryba, the Russian source, for allowing the Ukrainians to be able to geolocate where are all these forces heading to. So anyway, that's the situation, which means the Russians are already deploying massive amount of forces to the Kursk region. So we are going to see reactions pretty soon. As I mentioned before, as this offensive first started, the Russians is going to take 3 to 5 days, at least 3 days, to reorganize themselves. So, and I think we are now we had just finished the 3rd day. So I think we're going to start to see the Russians starting to push back more soon. We are already seeing some of these reports of the Russians coming in, but I think these are just stabilizing force. These are not the real force that was going to launch the counteroffensive. So I think it's going to be another 2 days. If we are only seeing the video footages coming out over the past 24 hours, the armored vehicles arrive, the soldiers have to arrive, they have to organize, they have to be briefed, they have to prepare the equipment. It's going to be another 2 days at the fastest. And even with all this being said, the fighting in this region is extremely fierce, with the Russians already using FABs. They're already using the airstrikes, they're using Lancets. Ukrainians are losing a lot of equipment as well, while the Ukrainians are also sending in artillery systems into the Russian territory. We have M777 getting destroyed just off Malovoy. Another hot weasel, I'm not sure what is the type, getting hit by a Lancet. So the Ukrainians are already sending in artillery systems into this area here, which means that they are treating this as a massive assault. They're treating this as an operation to conquer grounds. So they're not just going to do a raid like the forces that were sent in by the Defense Intelligence Unit of Ukraine. They're not just going to come in and stir some shit and then leave, or like the Belgorod offensives. The Ukrainian forces over here are treating this as a major offensive. So there is, as I mentioned previously as well, and it seems to be noted by the pro-Russian sources as well, that the Ukrainians likely still have two more groups of reinforcement. The Russians use the word echelon. I just use groups. No, it doesn't make any difference to me. So in the area, so in the Loknia Yonakivka region, there's one group. Another group is over at the Kenyan Tistia region. So there's two groups around here. The first group is likely to go in to help to secure the line, and the second group for reinforcement. And after that, I do not know what they have. So that's the situation around there. Further captures was reported over at Yuzhny. Because we have the artillery system here, so Yuzhny definitely is gone case. And there is also so-called video footage according to Ryba, there are Ukrainian forces inside Yuzhny. So Ukrainian forces having this area is now confirmed. Artillery system in this area here might suggest that the Ukrainians may even have further positions further up front, because this is a bit too near to the front line for artillery system. There is also information from the residents from Second Princess, which is probably 2Y Kinyanze. According to Ryba, this is based on their own information. The residents say that the Ukrainian forces entered with infantry with the support of armor. So which means that the Ukrainian forces definitely have entered this area here. This is a confirmation. We already have Ryba reported the capture of Kozecha Loknia. So this entire area being captured by the Ukrainians is not surprising, because whatever Russian forces have when the Ukrainians attack, is very minimal. They are police, they are just volunteers. There might be no border guards. So whatever Russian forces have fighting initially, is not the real army. So they are definitely outgunned by the Ukrainians. So the Ukrainians taking grounds is expected. And over at the Sudzha region, there is updates. According to the latest mapping by the Russians, it seems that they're less no crazy, or maybe they have information of Russians reinforcement coming. So the Russians have now re-established around this line. So they claim that anything along the eastern part of the Sel River, the Pesel River, is now under the Russian control. Or maybe the Russians have actually reinforced in this area, which means that and based on their mapping, the Bondarevka capture that they've previously mentioned is now invalidated, or maybe the Russians have recaptured it. And so this is the mapping of the Russian have. Everything north of this area is according to the Russians is gray zone. Is all this area here? No, all this area here is considered gray zone, and but the Russians probably do not have firm control over there. This is the firm control, and along the Sudzha region is along the river. The Spell River it's along the river. Ukrainian forces have geolocated and I think published a video footage of themselves over here, confirming that they have firm control of the western part of the Sudzha city. So this includes the Zalashensky region as well as the Gonsharovka region. So this entire region is under Ukrainian control. This is most likely going to be the established front line right now, and everything north of this area remains to be seen, because previously we have the Ryba reported about Ukrainian capture of Krolik, but we're not sure if this is still the case, because the entire northern part is already invalidated. And if the Russians push down, I don't think Krolik is a defendable place. So the front line, the future front line may be established along here. This might be the front line in the future as the Russians continue to counterattack. There is no more new major incursions that I can see over the past 12 to 12 hours, I would say, that other than this storming down the highway. So yeah, that's what it is. What else? The Ukrainian forces was reportedly attacking Plekhovo as well as Kusherov. So Plekhovo is actually inside Russia, where the Ukrainians are attacking across the Sel River. They're trying to attack through, but there's only long-range fire. Generally, they have not entered at all yet. The Russians are defending this area. However, at Kusherov is a bit different. This is actually a border, and the Ukrainian forces are attacking Kusherov, according to the information from Ryba, the Russian source. So, but there's no information of the Ukrainians entering the village yet. For Plekovo, it's a bit different. The Ukrainians are skirmishing with the Russians, with a Ukrainian tank supporting the Ukrainian operation. So the Ukrainians may be trying to find new weak spots to break through or to create problems. I I used to do this in some of the games, just to create chaos. So I know how the mentality goes. So if the line starting to establish around here, then it just makes sense to try to break through and stir shit in other places. And who knows, the way how you maneuver might end up capturing all these grounds that was becoming a front line, and you can actually destabilize the front line. So this is what is currently happening. The front line is starting to get stabilized. The situation is not stabilized yet. So because like I said, the first line of the Russian forces are just sending stabilizing troops in. The main force is not here yet, and the Ukrainians still have forces in the rear positions within the Sumy region. So I think the battle will still continue. But personally, I think this entire front may collapse within 2 weeks. That's my own gut feeling. So, but we shall see how this goes. And I think that's all. I think I might have covered all the information for the latest information. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and see you guys in the next update. And for those that are watching on the recorded version, do go over to the main channel if you want to see the Q&A. No, I will answer some questions that I know from the chat, and we shall see. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next update.